Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. Now, I hope 2025 is treating you great so far. And by the way, it's not about 2025 treating you great, it's really about you taking charge, whether it's of your health, your life, your family, your business, your work, your destiny. And we've all heard that we are there to some degree. To some degree, we are the masters of our destiny as far as this earth is concerned. Now, when we're talking about health, so if you remember last week, we talked about the cardiovascular system. That's the system of blood vessels, arteries, and veins, and the heart that go around the body that supply blood, oxygen, water, nutrients, chemicals to the cells of the body and take away waste products. I mentioned and I really emphasized that the cardiovascular system, in my opinion, is the most important system in the body, bar none. Yes, the brain is very important, and yes, other things like the immune system are important, but they are second or secondary to the cardiovascular system. And if you look at it, around the world, the number one cause of death are diseases of the cardiovascular system, whether they be heart attacks, strokes, heart disease, blood vessel disease, or something related. So that is number one cause of death. So we're going to be talking about the immune system today. I hope you have your notes ready. These videos are all recorded. If you don't find them on the NTA website, they shall be on our Brain and Body website. So just reach out to us, and I believe you can find us any way, whether it's on social media, Brain and Body Foundation. Just look for that, or through me, Dr. David Ajibade, and you can see me, like I said, on different platforms. All right, let's get into it. Like I said, I'm Dr. David Ajibade. If you just see me for the first time, where have you been? I hope you've not been under a rock somewhere, because we've been doing this now for about 6 years. And it's been a great honor to continue to serve you all around the country of Nigeria and really around Africa. It's an honor to be able to share information that we have learned painstakingly through the last, I don't know, close to 30 years since I've been a doctor. And I've had some very unconventional paths. And so it's many of these things I'm teaching. I had to quote unquote leave medicine to learn these things and come back into medicine and apply them and see them work. And so it's been a great, shall we say, very interesting journey. Anyway, I don't want to take too much time because we have only about 25 minutes. Let's get into it. So the immune system, like I said, is probably the most, after the cardiovascular system, this is the most important system that you should pay attention to, especially as a Black person. And I've got to tell you, folks, it's really, really, really disturbing to me that in the Western world, especially in the US, we're not paying attention to the differences where Black people are weak as opposed to white people. And because we're treating everybody alike, we are not highlighting those differences. And white people are weak with regards to us in certain areas as well. We're not going to talk about them because we're more interested in Blacks. But because we're not focusing on, we're not, when we see a Black person, we're not treating that person, understanding that there are biological, physiological differences, genetic differences in the Black person. We are seeing a lot of diseases that could have been curtailed or could have been addressed more effectively. We're seeing them get worse and worse and worse and worse because healthcare professionals are not looking at Black people in a different way than they're looking at white people. They're just treating everybody alike, and therefore, in many regards, we don't get optimal results. But this is not about doctors or healthcare professionals. This is about you and what you need to know and what you need to do on a daily basis. Yes, daily basis, to preserve and maintain and support the health of your body, specifically the immune system. So let's get into it. I'm going to show you some slides in a minute. Let's put the slides up there so we can see it. Okay, I hope you can see the slides. Our title today is Building Strength in 2025. I've done a little bit of a recap. I've talked about what happened last week, or what we talked about last week. So this is part 2. There's probably going to be a part 3, where we're going to go into another system that I will talk about. Again, I want to emphasize, you've got to learn. Let me go get back to that slide. I want to emphasize, We must learn what helps our immune systems and what hurts our immune system. And if we don't know that, then we'll just let things happen to us, and we won't know how to guard against these attacks that are going on in our immune systems. And I'll tell you why that is so important. Because if the immune system isn't working like it should, there's a whole host of things that can go wrong, right? There's a whole host of things that can go wrong. Everything from autism, which is what we started with in the foundation. Our first cases, our first patients were kids with autism or some kind of brain problem. And we found out that even at that early stage of our work, 2015 was when we started with the foundation. We found out that the immune system, problems with the immune system were directly involved in the progression of that disease. And we found out that we would be foolish not to treat or not to address the immune system as well as addressing the brain. And when we put them all together, when we address the immune system as well as the brain and other systems, we found much better results than just addressing the brain itself. All right, so some of the other things you know about: asthma, allergies, hypersensitivities, food intolerances. We know about AIDS is a problem of the immune system not working well enough or being hypo. We know that autoimmune conditions like hyperthyroidism, Hashimoto's disease, multiple sclerosis, and there are so many of them now, almost 100 different kinds of autoimmune diseases. Obviously, it's because the immune system is hyper, is working, is turning on the body's cells and the body's organs and tissues and destroying the body's own, is destroying its own people. And that's a bad thing. So it's everything from autism to Alzheimer's disease. And as you know, Alzheimer's disease is a disease of the brain. By the time a person has advanced dementia, their brain has shrunk by over 30%. So it's just 2/3 the size of what it was maybe when the person was in their 30s or 40s. The brain has shrunk significantly. That is a lot, my friends. That is a lot of brain tissue. Like, all kinds of things would have gone wrong for that to happen. So you want to pay attention to that. And this is another picture of what it looks like. It's called atrophy on the right side. The brain has shrunk by over 30%. It has shrunk. Anybody with that kind of brain loss is in serious trouble. We also saw, and this really it was a really, shall we say, interesting finding, because nobody had ever talked about treating the immune system, at least not when I was in medical school and when we were treating patients, even in general, when I was practicing. Nobody really focused on treating the immune system or strengthening the immune system. But we found out through working with hundreds and yes, thousands of kids with sickle cell disease, we found out that by strengthening or boosting, some people don't like that word, but we found out that by strengthening the immune system of these kids, and yes, adults as well, using specific supplements, we were able, I don't know what this is, but let's check this off. By specifically focusing on strengthening the immune system, we were able to see significant, and when I say significant, I mean as much as 80% improvement in the quality of life of these children. And yes, we were giving it to them for free of charge, but they kept on coming back and we were able to monitor and measure their improvement. So by the way, if you're in Abuja or really around the country and you have children with sickle cell disease or have a child with sickle cell disease, reach out to us. We've been doing this for, yes, like I said, over 8 years, 2015. So this, yeah, but no, 10 years now, excuse me, going on 10 years. When we've been giving out free supplements to children, in some cases giving over $1,000 worth of supplements to one child every month, because we care. So reach out to us and we will see what we can. Bottom line is that the immune system is very, very important to the health of the child with sickle cell disease. If that's all you focus on, you will see significant improvements. Like I said, 80% improvement. In some cases, the children started living like normal children. They didn't miss school. They were able to play soccer. They were able to get into fights and win. They slept well. No more pain. No more crisis. I wouldn't have believed it if I wasn't doing it. So it's up to you. Reach out if you can. And then we come to COVID-19. So COVID-19 was a very interesting case of the immune system not being strong enough to. So in some people just got the COVID, and their bodies did not fight it. So it got into their lungs and got into their blood. But then when it got into their bloodstream or into their lungs, then the immune system went haywire. It just started attacking. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, because the immune system has to attack when it needs to attack, but when it should not attack, it needs to exert a lot of restraints and back off. So it's both a push and a pull. And this needs a lot of, shall we say, intelligence and orchestration. If the immune system does not have the right support, if it doesn't have the right nutrients or enough of the right nutrients, it will not be able to attack when it needs to attack and then back off when it needs to back off. Many of the people who died from COVID-19 was because of the over attack. There was no turn off switch. It didn't back off or calm down. It didn't address the virus alone. Once the virus got into the body, it just triggered the immune system, and the immune system went haywire and attacked not just the virus, but attacked the body cells and tissues. And that's why there were people having strokes, there were people having all kinds of heart attacks, there were people having lung failure, there were all kinds of things, because the body's immune system was attacking itself, causing inflammation and all kinds of problems. So it was a very, very curious case. And so what the immune system, what the people who had good working immune systems, first of all, they didn't have any symptoms, whether it was cold or cough or loss of smell. And so it's because the immune system was strong enough to destroy or ward off or fend off the virus before it got deeper into the lungs and caused more problems. But even those for whom it proceeded, it got past their defenses at the nose and the throat. Even those in whom the virus attacked the lungs and so on, many of them were able to, maybe they had a hard time, but they survived afterwards. I can tell you personally in my case, because I knew what to do. And of course, as you know, I said a lot on TV. I was always shouting about certain things.
Hi, my name is Jirit Moa Jamie Baku, and I've been volunteering with this community for some months now. For a while, this is not like my first time being here, and it's actually interesting to volunteer and help other people living with sickle cell like me. I am also a sickle cell warrior, and Sitamil has been amazing, especially my appetite. I usually do not eat a lot, but I started eating well. It has helped me reduce the frequent crisis, and it has greatly improved my diet. It's a good drug, and also this is a good platform. We want it to continue because a lot of people are out here living with sickle cell anemia, and they cannot afford basic needs. They can't afford as little as folic acid. This is a very huge opportunity, and I pray that God is going to bless the people that are doing this. God is going to replenish their pocket, and God is going to keep providing for them as they provide for us.
Let's talk about what the immune system actually is and what it does. So it's not just something that's in your blood vessels. Your immune system is a series of cells. There are about 21 different types of cells, and also a series of organs and tissues around the body. So you see the body there, you see the difference. These are the different components of the immune system, from the spleen to the intestines, to the lymphoid tissue, to the thymus, and we're not going to go into all details. Bottom line is that is the immune system is all over the body. But and this again, they didn't teach us this in medical school. I wish they did. But did you know that over 70% of your immune system, the cells of your immune system, are in the digestive system? most especially in the colon, which is the last part of the digestive system. So think about that. What are the implications? If your immune system, if your digestive system is not healthy, it means your immune system cannot be healthy. Therefore, another aspect of what we must focus on if we're treating any kind of condition, especially the brain, is that we have to focus on the digestive system as well. But that's another story for another time. But I just wanted you to know that your digestive system is very important for your immune system. So let's get to where you and I are more concerned. If you look like me, that's for you. Blacks and the immune system. What we're finding out is that many conditions, the things that are among the top or the most common conditions, the ones that cause people to die, the chronic conditions, whether it's hypertension, coronary artery disease, which is heart disease, coronary heart disease, excuse me, type 2 diabetes. In these conditions, all the conditions that are marked in green have to do with the immune system, and they have the highest rates among Black people. I know. We're talking about that again. I don't know what we did wrong. Who did this to us? All I can tell you is that this is what the situation is, and I am going to tell you about what you need to do to protect yourself. But for sure, breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, and probably even lung cancer. But breast cancer, Black women have it worse in Africa and the rest of the world. Whether you're living in Nigeria or Africa, Blacks have the highest rates of breast cancer, and it is the most severe forms and the most difficult to treat. Same thing with prostate cancer for men. Black men have it worse all over the world. Wherever you see Black people living in any population, they have the highest rates of prostate cancer if they're men, and the highest rates of breast cancer if they are women. So it's a big problem. And people don't seem to be wanting to get a handle of it or try to understand why that is so. Well, I take that back. I apologize. Yes, they're trying to understand why that is so. But in my opinion, from a more basic perspective, we should be talking about this more than we are, and we should be empowering people to take the right steps and take the right actions more than we're doing right now. All right, let me move on. I love this quote because this is somebody who in the FDA, which is the Food and Drugs Administration, which is the part of NAFDAC. So NAFDAC is, I'm not going to try. So NAFDAC in Nigeria, FDA in the US. In sharp contrast to their white counterparts, Blacks have a much higher incidence and mortality. It means they die from certain types of aggressive cancers and autoimmune diseases, including diabetes, that cannot be attributed entirely to socio-economic differences or disparities in healthcare. So in other words, it's not just about racism. Yes, racism plays a factor in this country, in the US, and probably the UK and other countries as well. But this individual, this doctor, is saying that it's beyond that. Because we see in Nigeria too. I mean, we see all these conditions in alarming numbers, and we're all Black. So it's not racism that's an issue. It has to do with our genetics and to some degree our lifestyles, which we have to, like I said, we have to address. We can't do much about our genetics. We can do a lot about our lifestyle. So what helps our immune system? What hurts it? The first thing I'm going to talk about, really, and I think you all know, I'm not going to be shy about this, is sugar. Sugar damages your immune system. It affects your immune system, just as it affects the cardiovascular system. It also affects the immune system. And so you want to be, you want to, this is not the time to go into detail, but you want to cut back, especially up to the age of 40. Now, people don't realize just how much sugar there is in everything. And especially the richer you are, the more affluent you are, the more likely you're taking more sugar. And again, the richer you are, the less likely you are exercising or running around out in the sun. So that's where the poor people have an advantage. And that's why, again, when it came to COVID-19, the poor people were the ones that were escaping the disease. They were not, because they were out in the sun, they were hustling, they were hustling, looking for food, trying to sell their wares, trying to make a living. Meanwhile, the rich people were the ones getting the most severe forms of COVID-19 in Nigeria because they were not out in the sun. That's a clue for you. They were not hustling. They were from going from AC to AC. So they were just relaxing, and they were lacking what their bodies needed to be strong and to defend themselves against COVID-19. There's a picture of a teaspoon in front of you. What is in that teaspoon is sugar. A teaspoon of sugar is what your body is comfortable with. Once you eat, the body was going to do everything it can to bring the levels of sugar down to a teaspoon. Just think about that for a second. A simple sandwich is like 4 to 8 teaspoons. That's not even counting the other things that you put inside the sandwich. Just the 2 slices of bread is about 4 to 8 teaspoons. So this sugar has a shall we say a hindering effect on the immune system. The other things too that you want to watch out for, and I mentioned these last week, it's almost exactly the same thing that weakens your cardiovascular system, that also weakens your immune system. And so it bears repetition. What I've noticed, and I'm yet to be disproved, is that Black people tend to have a higher incidence or higher degree of sweet tooth or sweet teeth, or we tend to like sugar a lot more. So we put a lot more sugar in our coffee, our tea, our drinks. And like I said, that's not good for you. Nothing at the starchy foods, pounded yam, eba, amala. These things, they may not be sweet, but they convert to sugar very rapidly and therefore impose a burden on the body to try and bring it down to the level of a teaspoon. The problem with fried foods and processed foods and vegetable oils is that when these oils are heated, and of course when we fry stuff, we heat them very, very much, they become very, very toxic. They become toxic chemicals that damage our cells. So you want to start watching out for this. Obviously, your body can have some ways of protecting against it. These protections diminish as you grow older. So you want to watch out for that. So soft drinks, please. You gotta. I mean, if you're drinking a whole bottle before, maybe just start by going down to half, right? Don't drink the whole thing. You don't have to drink it. You don't have to drink soda every time you sit in front of a TV or every time you eat a meal. Same thing with the burgers and all that good stuff. And of course, pounded yam. So my own thing is, I'm from Ikiti, as you know. So my whole thing was that I started just taking half, and you can do that. Your body doesn't need that much food, I promise you. So what I do is, like, whenever I eat pounded yam, trust me, every chance I get to eat pounded yam, I take it. I just cut it in half and I leave the rest. And surprisingly, I don't starve afterwards. So it's very important. So teaspoon size, remember that. Here's what you need to do. So I told you what you shouldn't do. What you now need to do is put the right nutrients that will help to support your immune system. And I have 7 of them here. I mentioned these 7 last week, but they act in a different way when it comes to the immune system. So what I'm doing is I'm working on putting all of these into one formulation. So you have in one dose, all these things together in the right amounts. Now, I haven't really seen this anywhere. And so that's why I'm trying to create this on my own now. So we'll see how that works. Of all the 7, vitamin D is the most important. Remember, I was talking about the sun a lot. Vitamin D is so important. And we black people have the lowest levels. When they measure different races of people, black people have the lowest levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D is the most important, some say, most important vitamin for the immune system. It helps. Remember what I said at the beginning about how some people who had COVID, their immune system just went haywire and were just going berserk, attacking their cells, their brains, their organs, and their tissues. One of the things we're finding out is that those people had very low levels of vitamin D, and vitamin D is what helps the body restrain the immune system and keep the immune system from going haywire and going berserk. If you have enough vitamin D, for those of us who had a lot of vitamin D, and I made it a point to keep just popping vitamin D everywhere I went, I didn't care about overdose at that time, and it didn't happen. But I kept on taking vitamin D as many times as I could remember. Whenever I had a break, I'll take it. Those of us who had high levels of vitamin D were able to keep our immune systems working optimally. Those who didn't, as I mentioned, it was a problem. So I have this graphic here that shows all the people who are low in vitamin D. You're dark skinned, you're overweight, you're over 40, you're not outside in the sun, or you have a chronic disease like diabetes. Any chronic disease will sap or remove vitamin D from your body. So those are very important to know. And for sickle cell disease, I created a formulation that had vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc all together in one in the doses that were optimal. And again, that really helped. So no matter what you do, my friends, you should, I believe. I mean, the problem is that most hospitals don't measure vitamin D levels, or sometimes they send them outside. I know I tried in some hospitals before I left. They had to actually send it out of the country. But I recommend for my patients about 10,000 international units. That's my patients. And so far, they've been doing that for over 10 years, and it works really well, especially if it's during the winter, as we are now. Now, if you're out in the sun, then don't worry about it. But I also recommend vitamin D3 and K2. What vitamin D3 does, and that's the best form of that vitamin D, in my opinion. What it does is that it helps your body absorb calcium, in addition to the other things that it does. Now, what with vitamin, so the concern many healthcare professionals have is that maybe your calcium levels will be a little high. So there's a combination with K2, vitamin K2. K2 takes the calcium and pushes it into the bones and the teeth. So it helps your bones get stronger and your teeth get stronger, and reduces the amount of calcium in the blood. Now, I've asked people to get in Nigeria. They have recommended it. They said they come back and they say they don't know how to find it. Again, if you want this combination, just reach out to us, reach out to my staff, my team in Nigeria, and they will. We probably have some in stock. So if you want to reach out to, we'll definitely make that available for you. But vitamin D3 and K2 is a really good combination. So let's wrap it up. It's not just about supplements, my friends. Obviously, you need to have good sleep, good rest, workouts. Control your mind. Don't get upset all the time. Don't go to bed and be stressing and fretting. Yeah, all these things, all these common sense things are important. I'm just telling you about in my opinion, the most important things and the easiest things you can do to take control of your health. And probably the easiest thing and relatively cheapest thing is to take enough vitamin D for the rest of your life. People ask, should I take it for the rest of my life? I think it's a dumb question, because as long as you are black, you're most likely going to need vitamin D every single day. You can't just take it once and then for the rest of your life, you're golden. Not so. It doesn't happen that way. So yes, you want to take it for the rest of your life. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. If there's one thing you want to take from this class or from this episode, is that you want to take the takeaway is that you got to maintain and ensure that your vitamin D levels are optimal. The range is 30 to 100. I recommend that you go closer to 100. Last time I checked, it was 83, and I've been doing very, very well. So that's it for today, folks. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Remember, we care, and we want you as Nigerians to live to be 80 or 90 at least in good health, especially good mental and brain health. If you want to watch these videos, they are available on our website, brainandbodyfoundation.org, brainandbodyfoundation.org. And if you want the slides too, just reach out to us or reach out to our team, and we will let you have them. God bless you. Take care. Be healthy. Stay strong. Bye.